The wish to cheat death has followed humanity as long as history itself. We tamed fire, crossed oceans, and reached space. But we're still locked in bodies that age and break down. Now, on the horizon, a new possibility appears, uploading our tired minds into the digital world. Maybe this is the next step in evolution, leaving the flesh behind and continuing life as code. Mind is one of those words without a strict definition. Most often it means the ability to process information, be aware of what's happening, and have subjective experiences. Mind uploading is the idea of copying this inner world and transferring it to an artificial medium. But that's only possible if three bold assumptions are true. First, consciousness must entirely depend on the brain. This is the idea of physicalism, the thought that your emotions, personality, and sense of self are just the product of neurons and chemistry. If that's correct, then in principle the mind can be copied. But if there's something outside the brain, a soul, quantum effects, or some hidden factor, then the whole idea falls apart. Second, we'd need to scan the brain with unimaginable precision. Not just like an MRI or even at the level of single cells, we'd need to see every molecule. One startup, Nectomy, has an extreme idea, preserving a brain in perfect condition today so that one day in the future, all its information could be extracted. Third, the mind must be computable. In other words, the brain is a kind of program that could be run on a machine. Companies like IBM and Intel are building special processors that mimic the way neurons work. This isn't just about raw power, but about copying the style of the brain's calculations. Scientists are also exploring quantum computers, machines millions of times faster than what we use today. If the brain really is an algorithm, then theoretically it could be moved over. In short, most modern theories of mind see the brain as a kind of computational machine. If all three assumptions hold, then uploading is at least theoretically possible. But for now, it's just a hypothesis. Let's zoom in on the brain, the most complex biological object we know of. An organ weighing just about 3 pounds controls everything: your heartbeat, your breathing, your thoughts, your feelings. It's basically a supercomputer made of meat. It has around 100 billion neurons, each connected to thousands of others, forming quadrillions of connections. The scale is mind-blowing. The number of connections rivals the number of stars in all observable galaxies. These aren't just static wires. Neurons constantly change each other, strengthening or weakening signals to form a living network. Other cells matter too, like glial and immune cells that support, filter, and even teach neurons. Hormones like serotonin and dopamine shape mood and motivation. And there's no single center of self. Different brain regions team up to solve problems no one area could handle alone. The surface of all neurons combined is about 25,000 square meters. That's 4 football fields folded into your skull. The total length of all the neurons, if stretched out, could wrap around Earth several times. And every second, this living web creates a quadrillion events. One day, all of this would have to be transferred into a computer. The first step is data, mountains of it. But tools like MRI are useless here. They see details at best in millimeters. We need to go way deeper. In 2019, scientists made a breakthrough. They took a tiny cube of mouse brain tissue, just 1 cubic millimeter, like a grain of sand. Inside it were 100,000 neurons and 1 billion synapses. To map it, they sliced it into 25,000 layers, each thinner than a human hair, by a factor of 25,000. Several electron microscopes ran non-stop for 5 months, producing hundreds of millions of images. Then the data was stitched together into a 3D model, a digital brain fragment weighing 2 petabytes. For comparison, 30 years of satellite images of Earth take up about 1.5 petabytes. Now, imagine doing this for an entire human brain. You'd need to repeat the process 1 million times. The data load would be in zettabytes, bigger than all the data centers on the planet combined. But having a map isn't enough. You'd also need to make it work like a living brain. That means not just neurons, but glial cells, hormones, and the complex ways brain regions interact. Where exactly is the self located? That's still not clear. So far, scientists simulate tiny fragments of the brain, test hypotheses, and compare them to real recordings. But to get anywhere close to a full mind, we'll need insane computing power. In the past 25 years, computing power has exploded, and we now have neuromorphic chips, processors like IBM's True North that simulate tens of millions of artificial neurons. In simple terms, they're small computers that think like a brain. They can learn, adapt, and help us figure out how our heads actually work. The next step may be quantum computers, machines that could crunch data millions of times faster. But even if we succeed, the big question remains: is copying the brain enough to spark consciousness, or is there something more? Nobody knows yet. If mind uploading becomes real, death might stop being the end. Even if the biological body shuts down, the mind could continue as long as the file is stored somewhere on a server. Biology would stop limiting us. A digital copy doesn't age, doesn't get sick, and could last for centuries. Scientists could keep working for hundreds of years. Minds could travel across the galaxy by uploading into probes. You could redesign yourself, removing weaknesses, boosting intelligence, erasing painful memories. You could live through things impossible in real life. Jumping into a black hole, replaying your past, or experiencing entire worlds built from scratch. The usual human boundaries will disappear. You no longer need food, sleep, or even a body. All we know about love, pain, pleasure, or fear are signals in the brain. In theory, they could be switched on or off at will. But the dark side is just as real. Not every digital mind would choose to live for good. Some might seek power, build empires, or push ideologies for centuries. And what if someone hacks or deletes your mind? Is a copy still you or just an imitation? Who owns this kind of technology? Would everyone get access or only the rich? And there are legal questions too. If someone commits a crime, is their digital version responsible? What rights should a copy have? Instead of a simple future, we get a tangled web of problems. And maybe those problems will decide whether humanity should even go down this path. So, whether mind uploading becomes reality or stays in the realm of science fiction, one thing is certain: it challenges how we think about life, death, and what it means to be human. If this topic blew your mind even a little, hit the like button so more people can find it. And if you want to dive deeper into the future of mind and technology, don't forget to subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think uploading consciousness will ever be possible? Or is it just sci-fi?